Pedigree breeders, the problem or the solution? I think most things in life you'll get that you're either one of two things, you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. So we'll go through it quickly now and see where we can come and see have our pedigree breeders got a future? Can they be part of the solution for society? Public view of breeding, especially pedigree breeding, dog pedigree breeding. This photo was taken, very emotive photograph. The image put across there, it's emotional, its society identifies with it, it's powerful, and it's a message being put out that people who are negative towards pedigree dog breeders. So this, unfortunately, is a perception, and as we all know, perception can become reality. So it's a challenge we have to ride up to meet. Pedigree, the public don't know if a dog is a pedigree dog or a dog. They just know it's a dog. And whether it's Kennel Club registered or whether or not, it doesn't matter to them. A dog is a dog. Simple message they have. The breeders, Kennel Club breeders, very easily visible among the whole thing. As you can see by the slide, that stands out and is a motive one. Easy target for welfare groups. Whether they're legitimate or not, we're an easy target for them. The online campaigners, those people that get self-satisfaction from associating themselves with graphic images on the thing, but never actually do anything about it. That moral compass they get from that is enough for them, but they can be powerful and influential. The legislators, easy target. It's like the one who pays the taxes pays all the bills. We're the easy target because we're regulated. They can find us. They know where we are. They have our records. So we're an easy target for legislators. And the tax authorities also. They see us as a potential revenue solution. Pedigree, the challenges. So what are the myths? The pedigree dogs are unhealthy than non-pedigree. Pedigree dogs die younger. This has been addressed earlier on by other speakers, as of a lot of what I'm going to say has been. But listen, a good message is worth repeating. So comparing size for size, there's no difference between the pedigree and non-pedigree dogs when they die or whether they die younger. The genetic and other health tests carried out on pedigree breeders, they do it all the time. Hybrid vigor does not work. You have easy as much a chance as doubling up on the problems as you have of solving them. So it's not a solution. Unfortunately, there are not enough pedigree dogs being produced. So this survey you'll see here by Veterinary Hospital shows the spread. Okay, there's a big market for dogs out there, whether they're pedigree or otherwise, but the fraction of them and the percentage of them, as indicated by other speakers, is so low that the Kennel Club ones are very not, probably about 20% at most in a lot of places. Some maybe Scandinavians a little higher, but the amount is that. It still doesn't stop us for getting the blame on it some. Reality of puppy sources, as the point I've made there already. In the UK, out of 200,000 of the 900,000 required each year. So the UK Kennel Club only does that amount. Ireland the same, 20,000 out of the 90,000 needed. This is market driven. There's a market there for them. Society wants them. They're going to get supplied. We're not supplying them. We're only in a very low level. The Irish Greyhounds, a scandal in Ireland at the moment. They are not associated with us. We do not recognise them. They are semi-state because it's an industry. And at the moment it's going through a very big scandal, and I'm sure there'll be legislation to sort that out very much in the future. So, reality of puppy sources. This is the reality, as we all know. I'm not going to dwell on the emotive images because you've seen them all before, but these are localized ones which we have had to deal with. The solutions are problems, right? So what can we do to change this? Encourage more breeding to make up the shortfall by Kennel Club members? Big public backlash for overbreeding. Expect people to wait for years for a puppy. Pedigree dogs become premium objects beyond the ordinary families. Differentiate between different types of breeders. End up contravening your code of ethics or the laws of the land. And the poor take-up, as we know, particularly in UK, of the assured breeder scheme says that the market is not there for it. The breeders will not go to the drama of that. So, what else can we do? What can we do to help improve all the health of dogs and welfare of pedigrees or not? Educate the breeders, including commercial entities, in best practices. So it's going to happen. The dogs are going to be bred, whether we breed them or not, and it's a problem. Society is going to blame us because we're an easy target, so we cannot just stand back. We're true to our ivory tower. We have to deal with the whole issue of breeding dogs and take a leadership in that role. My point of view, I think kennel clubs, being the representatives of the breeders and ultimately FCI, they have to take some kind of a role and introduce some kind of a training process for breeders and some kind of a qualification, a degree. There is nowhere in the world that you have to do a certain course or pass an exam to be a breeder. You just buy a dog and buy a bitch and away with you. So there has to be some kind of control. And I think we should be the ones to take control of it. If we don't, somebody else is going to do it, and then we'll be stuck. So society, I think we've done this already. Problem of segregation, either dogs in parks and so on, dogs fouling, dog bites, damage rented property, bans in public area, all of that. You can read what's on the screen, so I'm not going to repeat it for you. The difference is that we are not promoting pedigree dogs and their value and what they bring to society. We're not getting that message out there. We're getting it to each other, and we accept it and realize it, but we're not getting the message out there. We need to remind them, and this is done in Attila's presentation, the service dogs, etc., guidance, social loneliness, companionship, therapy. We need to constantly remind everyone. And in Ireland, and I know in many other countries, we have an annual contest called the Golden Paws Award, and it's for hero dogs of any description. They don't have to necessarily be pedigree, but it's for dogs who do something special, are so important in society. It's an easy sell. The media love it, it's emotional, and it's easy to get your message across. So this is something, an initiative, I think some countries do it, but I think more should. And maybe the FCI should have an international event where hero dogs representing each of the different member countries can compete. I mean, that is PR gold dust, something if we could do it. So we have to change the perception. So it's very easy. Demand, the big demand, we have to deal with that. The public knowledge and the attitude of the public. Puppy breeders, farmers, illegal importers. Breed popularity. There's one. The stars of television, the stars on radio, the models. They're going to make a dog popular, a breed popular. Of course they do. The commercial breeders, vets, the veterinary roles. Vets are reactors. They only get a dog when it's sick, when it comes into their area, unless they're research vets. But the bottom line is they're reacting to a situation. So we have to interact with them and explain to them where we are, what we do, and the breeding practices. Involve them at an early stage. Don't wait till there's a problem and they're interviewed on television or on the radio. So we have to get closer to them. The breed standards. That's an issue I think that's been addressed and has been well addressed recently, and I'm glad of that, because it needs to be. And it's not so much the actual breed standards as the interpretation. And I think what we've developed over the last couple of years is a better understanding, and we're going in the right direction. Health testing, that's mainly done by breed clubs, but I think a lot of kennel clubs are including it into their profile. Judges' education, yes, we need that. We have to be careful of overreaction. You can't expect your judges to be vets. It's not there. They haven't done an degree. So it's their interpretation. And we are putting together with the Veterinary Society in Ireland a presentation that's going to be obligatory for all judges to understand what level different various visual health issues that you can see in dogs from a judging perspective and how to grade it accordingly. not just to have them overreacting and disqualifying everything that sticks its tongue out. And the breeders, their attitudes and decision making has to be influenced by all of the above. So, need for further education, judges the interpretation of the breed standard and recognises health, function and balance. The breeders, the kennel clubs and FCI to take the lead. There is no point in telling somebody you're a bad breeder because we've seen the results unless you provide a facility to train them to be better. So we must put a statutory requirement for anyone who breeds dogs, and regulars with the Irish Kennel Club, I can speak for my own, and this is our intention, that they must have done this course. That's properly put together and comes with a degree. And then you can approach the government and you can say, we have this here. And part of the time you're giving them a solution because you're giving them a format where breeders are pre-trained. Veterinarians, same thing. We'd like to involve them all the time. These are the stakeholders, it's important. And the public, change the public concept by all of the above that we're saying. Try and change that. The governments, they see things as votes or value to the economy. They really don't generally care about these issues unless there's a little bit of vote catching in it. So we have to teach them the value that the dog scene brings to the economy and also the positivity that dogs bring. And advertising companies and media, stars, we have to get that message across to them. All of these have a responsibility in this problem. This is just a survey to give you a feel for how much ability does each of the following parties have to influence the assure proper animal welfare and humane treatment practice for breeding dogs? Right? Pet buyers, not really very much. Reactors, local humane societies, 61%. There's a feel-good factor and there's easily marketing process there. How often do they use this thing of somebody coming into a pound, getting the dog? So there's a feel-good factor there, 61%. So the first one is reactive, the second one is reactive. The third one, breeders, and this is from an American survey, the breeders and all kennel clubs are proactive, not reactive. In other words, they can change it at source rather than reacting to when it happens. The pet food companies, in it for the money, but they will react if you give a positive, if you give an approach to them that makes sense, that gives them added value to their product. And the same with the pet stores. So, further education, changing the perception of a desired individual pedigree dog breeds. So we're always talking about this breed or that breed or the other breed. Reality is, the most desirable dog is a healthy dog with a good temperament and good welfare. That's the message we want to get out there. They can have different types and different shapes, but that's the key function they all should have. So, maybe I missed one here. This is just a quote I took from a step which is very interesting. This is about brachycephalic breeds, and the vast majority of dogs with this brachy, not to talk about the other problems, skin, come from puppy mills. In Germany, the only group for French bulldogs registers 330 puppies per year. That's an official group. Whereas the overall, and the latest thing, 6,500 French bulldogs in France. And only 3 of them come from the club, specially designed by the Kennel Club to deal with them. We're stuck again, please. Oh, okay. The government in general do not listen to the kennel clubs. There are some exceptions, but in most cases they do not listen. They don't see us as a big political lobby. They don't see us as politically having a lot of money. So they don't really listen to us, and we don't affect their votes as far as they're concerned. So we have to make them realize the value that pedigree dogs are bringing. First of all, the value to the exchequer, and all as you see listed down there. Quantify that. After you tell them that this is what it does, you have to then quantify it and get their attention. Once you do that, you'll get their attention. A good example of that is the German Kennel Club. So Germany, the dog ownership, they did a complete survey, a properly organised industrial survey. And approximately 6.9 million euro dogs generated into the economy. 6.9 million. Turnover, 4.6 billion, employing 95 to 100,000 jobs. That's a powerful message to legislators. And that's why in Germany, they have the ear of the government. They get involved with them. In recent dog legislation, they were involved with them straight away. So that's an important message to get. On health and welfare issues, we have the usual standard stuff, mission statements, as you can see it there. It's aspirational though, that's the trouble. It's all nice words, it's aspirational, but where's the activity, where's the action to go along with that or make it happen? So lack of understanding, the extent and suffering related to the Brachycephalic constitution is not really realised among breeders and owners. And you can go to that as you see it there. The trouble is we need data. Data. Because no matter what you have, no matter who you approach, especially governmental, they love facts, figures, they love that. So if you have numbers and proof and done properly, and you come to them with data, they listen and they react. If you come to them with a great idea that is moralistically right and is educated and all, no use. They just want data. So that's what you want to come to them with data. So wait, I just start here. Just go back one. What do we, missing the slide here, what do we do with the results? Record them on a database for everything to access. This is what we have done at the moment, or we're thinking of doing. Allow results on pedigrees in IKC website. Voluntary disclosures and eventual mandatory. Over what period of time? Limit the breeding to those dogs successfully tested. These all come with problems. First of all, record on a database for everyone to access, not a runner. Just not a runner at all in Ireland. I'm sure the same in any country. Allow results on pedigrees on the IKC website. We already allow people to put health profiles on their pedigrees. That facility is there. It's not obligatory, but it's there. Voluntary disclosures. That's what we're working on now, with the eventually make it mandatory, but for the moment, voluntary. We think we'd like to bring our people with us, and eventually, if it works, when they get used to it, then gradually enforce it. What period of time? You have to be very careful how you do that. You don't want to dissociate your breeders and your members. If you do, where do you drive them? Into the puppy mill market. They're going to go away from you, so you have to be very careful. So, there should be no action without evidence. And no evidence without data. As I said, unless you have backup, unless you have data to back up your figures, your evidence is not going to be listened to and you won't get anyone. So I've already gone through that one with you. Partnership with academics and institutions. We have the data. There's no doubt we have it internally, but most of our kennel hubs don't have the manpower or the will to do it. So we need to get in touch with academics, and we have done that with universities, veterinary colleges and all that. We've talked to them about that to get them to do it, to put the data together. And this could be something we think is going to be forward. Legislators want evidence, and we want evidence-based decisions. That's what we want. The role of the judges. You can read what it says there. Do you want judges to be mini-vets? No, we don't. No. You'll get wrong diagnosis if you do. And you'll get into trouble because they'll be disqualifying dogs unnecessarily, and it only makes the thing worse. Breed standards have a trickle-down effect. How long do we wait to change? Once again, it's the interpretation. A lot of this is to do with interpretation, and that's up to us as kennel hubs to educate people in that respect. And will it limit genetic diversities? Well, not in the bigger breeds with the heavy numbers. Might have to be a little bit more inventive in the smaller number breeds. You might have to consider some kind of an outcross program. Veterinary professionals. So, I've talked about this, and so has anybody else. They are reactive. They only see sick dogs coming into their surgery and they're reacting accordingly. And everything they do is based on that. So they're not proactive, they're not involved at the conception, they're not involved in the breeding program, they're purely involved in their own practice when a dog walks into their surgery. So they're reactors. So we as an organisation have to educate them further on social welfare issues and where they come from, rather than just making... owner, attitude, cuteness or practicality. Why do people buy dogs with potential welfare problems related to extreme conformation and inherited diseases? And as you see below, there was a clear difference between owners of the four breeds with respect to degree of planning prior to purchase, with owners of Chihuahuas exhibiting less. You can read that, so I'm not going to go through it for you. What's our job? Our job is to change the attitude. First of all, you can't have any change unless you change the attitude. So, Kennel Club, reactive or proactive? We have to be proactive. Too long we're sitting there defending ourselves against everybody and anybody. We want to be proactive. Grasp the nettle. Stop blaming each other. Stop blaming the welfare people. Stop blaming whoever. Stop blaming the pet food people or the media. Let's look at ourselves and control what we can do. So, we need to start not being so defensive. Admit there is a problem and that we are, and whether we like it or not, we were part of it. So we have to get that out of the way quickly and start building fences. There are partnerships that we had over the years, some of you different in different countries, and they kind of fell away a little bit, particularly I think in the welfare issue. I think that it's our job to defend those men, those fences. We have done it in Ireland. We are now making joint submissions to the government on commercial breeders with the Dublin Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. This is a way forward. Engage, react, and put a joint message. You have a shared message. It's a powerful message, especially if it comes from stakeholders, statutory stakeholders, like regular animal welfare and Kennel Club. That is a shared message that can be very powerful. So, our failure to change. Giving information is not really enough. The realization must be used technologies from behavior science. We're talking about the lack of Facebook activity that we have. The people that kind of just hit straight away, move straight away, and every morning they have something. Trump is the ideal position to that. A new dramatic statement every morning. The PR people ready to kill him, but by the time they're ready, he has another statement out. So he is the guy who knows how to use that. We must use that. Okay, I'll just move quickly on here. Human behavior changes. We need to, people are just not thinking sometimes. So thinking is contemplated, preparation, action making, maintenance, follow up, ultimately results in good welfare. And these are the stages again. You can see it on the screen, so I'm not going to think. The whole secret of all of this is it's partnership. It's respect and partnership with all the stakeholders in this. So we must bend these fences, make the relationships, and have a way forward. To sum up, yes, pedigree breeders were part of the problem. But now they have a big part to play in the solution. And that's where we are at this stage in life. So with that, and with cooperation from the kennel clubs and the FCI, a rising tide lifts all boats. Thank you.